Chris Paul to the Lakers, Paul George to the Cavaliers, and Steph Curry to the Bucks. These are some of the biggest near trades in the NBA that in the last moments fell through and never came to be. But today we'll see how these blockbuster trades would have altered NBA history forever. Because with CP3 joining the Lakers, Kobe would finally have a star PG, giving him an opportunity to pass Jordan in rings. Paul George heading to the Cavaliers in 2017 would give Cleveland the firepower to possibly overcome the KD super team in Golden State. And lastly, with Steph Curry joining the Bucks and Giannis being drafted shortly after, we could be seeing one of basketball's greatest dynasties ever. And soon enough, we'll see how these scenarios play out. But for now, we're going to be starting off with Chris Paul headed to LA to join Kobe. Originally, this deal was official, but hours later vetoed by David Stern, fearing the team up would be too unfair for the rest of the league, and it left fans wondering what could be. In all of Kobe's career, he was never paired with a star-level playmaker, so now being paired with someone like Paul to set him up for easier baskets made a world of difference. With the flow of the offense coming easier for him now, Kobe was seeing a rise from his stats the season prior. And with him only being one season removed from back-to-back championships, he was still considered the best player in the league, and he was getting even better. On the other hand, Chris Paul was also benefiting greatly by having such a dominant scorer in his corner. During his time in New Orleans, defenses were able to zero in on him due to having little relief, but now with Kobe by his side, CP3 had vastly more scoring opportunities. And just like Bryant, he was seeing a jump in his numbers as well, experiencing a new career high in points per game. It would be in MVP conversations all season before ultimately coming in second behind LeBron James. But even though both stars saw an increase in their personal stats, the team didn't have the same jump. Of course, part of the trade sent Pau Gasol out to the Rockets, which was a hit to the Lakers front court. Now their only big man in the paint was Andrew Bynum, who was still solid, but the loss of Gasol led the Lakers season going slightly worse than expected. A 54-win season for the Lakers on paper is pretty good, but last year without CP3, they won 3 more games. So it's a little bit of a letdown, but maybe in the playoffs, they can make up for it. And in the first round, Kobe and LA were up against an old friend. The pairing of Kyle Lowry and Pau Gasol were working just as great as the Rockets had hoped, sparking their franchise as it was facing a decline post-Yao Ming. But unfortunately for Houston, this was merely a stepping stone for the Lakers. The series wasn't lasting long, and while it was nice catching up with Gasol, at the end of the day, Kobe and CP3 had business to take care of, wrapping this series up in a sweep to not waste too much energy as they prepare for round 2. But they were running into another familiar face, Tim Duncan, a longtime rival of the Lakers. Over the past decade, these two teams have had some all-out battles in the playoffs, trading blows with one another and accounting for 7 championships in an 11-year span. But this year was different. It wasn't a close battle between two West juggernauts. This time around, the Lakers were stealing the show after adding Paul to the group, completely outclassing Tony Parker, and helping his team advance to earn his first ever trip to the conference finals, where they'd be up against a team that beat them in real life, headlined by Kevin Durant. Much like the real life duel, KD was breaking out as a complete superstar in this league, and he was the top scorer in basketball, scorching the Lakers every trip down regardless of who LA tried to guard him with. This time around though, with CP3 on the team, the Lakers had less issues containing Westbrook, which was a plus and increased their chances of winning here. But those chances unfortunately weren't high, because while it was a different story this time, the ending was the same. LA still had an issue keeping up with the non-stop offensive assault OKC had. With talented players like Harden coming off the bench, it was challenging for the older LA group to continually match the Thunder's output. Adding CP3 to the mix was an upgrade over Powell and made this series closer, but in the end, it was still the Thunder advancing past the West for a trip to the finals. But there was still light at the end of the tunnel for Kobe, CP3, and the Lakers, because the next offseason would be huge and change everything. The Lakers were making a move in the offseason to add Dwight Howard, which is the same they did in real life as they envisioned a roster with Dwight and Nash. As we all know, Kobe and Dwight had issues in the real life version of this duo, but with Chris Paul running the offense, in this reality things were much different. The egos weren't getting in the way of the basketball this time around, with Paul managing who had opportunities when, and with everybody firing on all cylinders, the success would follow. In particular, the pick and roll between Chris Paul and Dwight was a thing of beauty, pairing that with an outlet to Kobe anytime they faced issues, and there was no surprise that this team would land one of the best records of all time. And entering the playoffs, they were proving that it was no fluke, easily winning in a sweep round 1 against the Jazz, and then cruising by the second round against a Dirk-led Mavericks team, eventually leading to a rematch in the conference finals against OKC. But this time around, there was no James Harden on the bench because he was traded to New Orleans in this reality after the Rockets already moved Kevin Martin, who they traded for Harden in real life, now teaming him up with a young Anthony Davis, which we'll talk about more a little bit later. For now, we'd be seeing the Lakers have the clear upper hand this time around, no longer failing to match OKC's talent, and in fact, this time the script was flipped, with the Lakers now having more firepower en route to a Lakers win, meaning Kobe is now on his way to his 8th finals, and this would be one of the most highly anticipated of all time, because waiting there was the Miami Heat and their star LeBron James, meaning we'll finally get our Kobe versus LeBron finals, but that isn't all. This series will also showcase CP3's first finals appearance as he attempts to earn a ring, and it'll be Dwight's second chance at winning an NBA championship, and for Kobe, he has the chance to tie Mike with a win here, so there was a lot at stake. And with the stage set for tip-off, we were in for something special. With Kobe Bryant making the first strike in this competition, at home in front of his fans and salivating at the thought of ring number 6. He was putting on an unreal showing, scoring 42 points, and while on the other side, LeBron was also having a strong performance, adding in a whopping 35, but with Dwight's great defense slowing down Miami, in the end, it wasn't going to be enough. The Lakers were securing the deal here and kicking off this series with the lead. But that feeling of victory wasn't lasting for long, because the very next game on the road, Dwayne Wade was having a blast from the past, looked like his old prime self carrying the Miami Heat, playing as if he didn't even realize Kobe was playing defense and only missing one shot the entire contest, helping Miami crush the Lakers with a statement win, sending LA to the locker room having lost home court advantage. And with the tides of the series shifting out to South Beach for the next games, something was off with Kobe, putting up one of his worst stat lines in recent memory, shooting an abysmal 31% from the field. Like a shark smelling blood in the water, LeBron was taking full advantage of the off game from the Black Mamba, getting aggressive on offense with his eyes on the prize, but that was quickly canceled out by a huge game from Chris Paul. He was on fire and picking up the slack from Kobe when he needed him the most, still eager to earn his first career championship. CP3 was doing whatever it took to keep his team in the running, and as this one winds down to the final moments, LA still had a chance. With game 3 of the finals within one, there is a lot at stake here. Kobe Bryant is trying to get ring number 6 to tie MJ. Chris Paul, Dwight are trying to get their first. LeBron's working on his legacy. A lot happening here, and whoever goes up 2-1 in the series is going to have the huge edge. Meta World Peace with the ball now, swinging around to Jody Meeks. You got to get the ball in CP3 or Kobe's hands. It has to be one of those two. Meta World Peace taking matters in his own hands, drawing a foul on Haslam. World Peace does end up splitting the free throws. The Heat are pushing the pace on the break. Mario Chalmers is about of the role players. He misses though. Jamison the rebound. World Peace again. Is he going to slow it down, or is he taking matters into his own hands once more? King James guarding him. Meta wants the ball. Kobe Bryant too. Meta the pull-up. I was kidding. What is going on? The Heat on the other end. LeBron has it, but LeBron's losing it. This is an insane ending. I genuinely don't think I've ever seen a jump in on this channel. Dwight gets it though after they win the tip. Meta had Kobe wide open on the break. Meta World Peace wants it all. Kobe now with it. Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade guarding him. Kobe trying to get ring 6. The step back. It's good. He extends the lead to 4. LeBron James now. Minute 40 seconds remaining. If you're Miami, you got to score quick. Meta clamping him up. One of the better defenders in the entire league at this moment. LeBron goes in a post. That's a really tough shot. Howard the board. Paul the ball. Chris Paul with it now. Mario Chalmers and him. They get it to Kobe again. The exact same right side. Pull up. Elver Wade is off. LeBron James now pushing the pace. It's going down low to Chris Bosh. His lane. Dwight's defense. One of the best defensive players in the league gets the stop. Lakers ball. Up 5-4 now. Kobe Bryant with it again. Driving in on Wade. Back in the post. Kobe. The pull up over him. Another miss. LeBron James on the break. Flows by Jamison. One guy to beat it. 1. LeBron does get the foul. Kobe is going to keep going. Like I was saying, he's having a bad game here. I can't believe he's still attacking, man. He's going to take his shots, though. A shooter shoot. Kobe again. Dwayne Wade on him. Kobe forcing the issue. It's off. Mario Chalmers driving on Chris Paul. Chalmers. He wants his revenge for the miss from earlier. This is exactly who you want shooting it. LeBron James now. Meta. We need to stop Meta. The Lakers need it. No way. No way. It's off. Chris Paul hit the first free throw. This is an absolutely all over the place final 2 minutes of a fourth quarter in the finals. The Miami Heat take a timeout. Down by 3 with 21.3 left. The Heat have plenty of time to try to do something here. The Lakers are trying to hang on. They need one defensive stop here, and the game is there. They inbounded to Chalmers. They're going to James. They're going for the quick 2 and not the 3. LeBron James, Meta World Peace on him, smothering him, nowhere to go. Meta with the great defense. LeBron in the post, the spin move still going nowhere. LeBron forces the dribble pickup down here. Wade in the corner for the tie. Wade, it's off. Meta the board. Game 3 has been saved by Meta World Peace so far. Big defense, a big shot earlier. Now the big free throws. He hits the first. The second one to give him a 5-point lead. It's off. The Heat take a timeout. With only 3 seconds left, I doubt the 2K AI is smart enough, but it's possible. You go for a quick inbound lob, maybe force a 5-second violation. They get it to LeBron. LeBron wasting all the clock. This one is over. After the big come from behind win in game 3, the Lakers now had all the momentum in this series, going into Miami again with Kobe back to playing like one of the all-time greats that he is, and putting all of his finals experience to use. He completely made up for the poor showing in game 3 by carrying his team to the promised land to take a major 3-1 lead in game 4. But in the face of elimination, LeBron was doing anything but giving up. This was his opportunity to put the haters to rest and establish himself as the undisputed best player in the NBA. If he beats Kobe here, this would be a full passing of the torch from one GOAT to the next. So with the stakes at an all-time high, he was taking over the game, keeping his team season alive for another match. And his determination wasn't satisfied just yet. Going back to Miami for the next game, he was keeping his foot on the gas, overshadowing a 30-point night from Chris Paul and taking his team the distance, forcing one final Game 7 to determine the outcome of the entire season. And in the wake of this final duel, all of the stars were prepared for a total war, and it was just about guaranteed to be a gritty, physical 48 minutes. We'd see both sides looking to match each other shot for shot, and they were prepared to make adjustments throughout to give themselves whatever little edge they could find. But in the end, the actual edge will be the star that this entire reality is based around. CP3 was having the best game of his entire season at just the right time, being more of a scoring force and a playmaker here and getting the points on the board for LA when they needed it. And the Lakers were getting it done. Finally, after a grueling 7-game war, LA was being crowned as the champions of the NBA, now giving Kobe 6 to tie everything up with Jordan, earning CP3 and Dwight their first rings, and on top of that, a Finals MVP for the young star point guard. But this team still had hopes for more. In this reality, Dwight was staying with LA instead of leaving for Houston now that the issues with Kobe were settled. And with the big 3 staying intact, the Lakers are having another dominant season, blazing through all of their competition on their way to another finals appearance, playing Miami for the 2nd straight year. But this time wasn't going to be half the theatrics from the season prior, with Wade beginning to have a noticeable regression and Chris Bosh only half the star he was since the start of the formation of the big 3. This time around, they were winning easily after only 5 games. Completing the repeat and of course allowing Kobe to surpass Mike, completely altering the GOAT debate forever in this reality. But there was more to come, because following that championship would be the end of the Lakers run, as a new team was in town ready to have the torch passed to them. Golden State was the hottest team around, and with their new style of play behind the 3-point line, paired with Kobe aging and Dwight's continued back issues, the Warriors were going to be making trips to the finals most of the next few years. But there's emphasis on most, because if you remember, James Harden had joined the Pelicans back in 2013, and now in 2018, Anthony Davis has evolved into the best big man in basketball, and James Harden was the league's MVP. Also joining the team this year was DeMarcus Cousins, who was another one of the better bigs in the league, and their size combined with Harden's offensive abilities were enough to overpower one of the greatest basketball teams ever formed. They were defeating the Curry and Durant Warriors after 6 to make the franchise's first ever finals appearance, where the results would be similar to real life, with the Cavaliers being swept. But this time around, now we'd be seeing the Pelicans win an NBA title, something we've never seen before. Also earning James Harden a ring in this reality, further altering NBA history. But there was one more change. Thanks to CP3 taking on a significant portion of the offensive game plan, Kobe was freed up of a lot of wear and tear on his body, leading to less injuries and in turn him not retiring in 2016. Now instead, he played for 2 more seasons, and again, thanks to the playmaking of Chris Paul, he continued averaging close to 20 points a night every season down the stretch of his career, ultimately leading to one of the biggest changes in this reality. Kobe Bryant would end up surpassing Kareem in the all-time scoring, holding the record for a few years before being passed up by LeBron, which officially brings us to the end of this what-if alternate universe, with multiple players earning either their first rings or adding on to their trophy case, with LeBron taking the biggest hit to his legacy, earning 1 less trophy. But he can hold his head high, because our next trade gives him a chance to earn some more. because Paul George is on his way to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Paul George has said on his podcast that the Pacers were very close to shipping him over to Cleveland in 2017. The only article I could find about the actual deal was this one that sends Paul George to the Cavs, Kevin Love to the Nuggets, and then Gary Harris and I assume a number of picks to the Pacers. So this is what we're going to go with. At the end of the day, it's not really going to matter. Kevin Love's leaving. The Cavs are getting George. It's going to be Warriors Cavaliers in the finals, so everything else doesn't matter because we're only going to see them clash. Right away, PG-13 was a great fit with the Cavs, continuing about his same level of play he was seeing in Indiana the year before, but his true calling to the team was his elite perimeter defense. If George was going to be the difference maker against Golden State, his defense would have to be locked in, and it was only a matter of time before we'd see if he was the missing piece. But come game one of the NBA Finals, they were off to a rocky start. Durant knew what the purpose of the Paul George acquisition was, and he was taking that matchup personal, attacking PG each trip down on his way to a season high in points to send a message that this wasn't going to be easy. With a 32-point win, the Warriors were taking an early lead in the series, which didn't last long, as the following game we'd witness an all-time great performance out of LeBron, doing what we've seen him do for years against the Warriors, but this time with the additional help, he was able to tie up this series after a close win. But then reality would sink in, because the next 3 games in a row were far from close. The Warriors were in full control, and it was seeming like the PG addition was making very minimal difference. The Warriors were clearly the better team, and I wasn't surprised. And that kind of feels like a big waste of time. The Warriors are still smoking Cleveland. They won 1 game instead of 0 by adding Paul George to the mix. Kyrie's likely to still leave because it's not winning and he's not getting any spotlight. LeBron's going to leave the year after that. They're not going to win without Kyrie. This experiment is over. They failed to do anything with this trade. The Warriors are still going to have a dynasty, but this next trade, the Warriors are going to have anything but a dynasty. Steph to the Bucks would start off much as you'd likely expect. With him still being a young PG, not yet reaching his peak, he'd play well, but it was nothing that would be taking the Bucks anywhere anytime soon. Giannis as well was only a rookie, and he would look night and day of what we know him as of now. And while over the next few years these players would start to become stars, it would take time before this Bucks roster would be a contender. But in the meantime, there was plenty of other changes. With no Steph on the Warriors now, they wouldn't be making it to 5 straight finals from 2015 to 19, meaning other teams in the West had opportunities to win rings, and the first notable one would be the Los Angeles Clippers, where we'd see Chris Paul yet again, but in this reality he's still ringless with high hopes. Of course, he was paired with co-star Blake Griffin, and the rest of the Clippers roster was also well-rounded. But that didn't mean this would be an easy series, because on the other end was LeBron James and the Cavaliers. On the bright side, the Clippers had pieces that matched up great against Cleveland, with Chris Paul being able to go head-to-head with Irving, and Blake Griffin easily outclassing Kevin Love. It was Blake's first finals appearance, and he was at his peak this season, putting up some very respectable numbers in this series, which should be no surprise, because he was in MVP conversations all season before eventually losing the race to James Harden. On top of all that, the size from DeAndre Jordan would wreck havoc against the small ball Cavs. But the only issue here was that the Clippers didn't have a great answer for Bron. Of course, this was part of the reason that LeBron was the top player to ever play. Most teams couldn't match up with him well, but with the Clippers lacking any players to match Bron's size, this was going to be ugly. Whatever boost the front court gave to the Clippers was swiftly being forgotten by the onslaught from James, whose finals averages were on par with some of the greatest finals in NBA history. Adding on to James's already illustrious career, now leading Cleveland to their first ever championship a year earlier after they outlasted the Clippers in 6 games, and they'd have plenty more opportunities without Golden State in the way. And the next challenger would be OKC, led by this season's MVP, Kevin Durant. We nearly saw this finals in real life before OKC blew a 3-1 lead, so the Thunder were easily worthy of being here. Unlike LA, this team had an option that could clash with LeBron. Kevin Durant was regarded as the closest player involved to LeBron at this time, and this would be their second meeting in the finals. With Durant still in the hunt for his first ring, he was coming into this series like a man possessed, averaging an unreal 33 points a night, which would lead all players in the series. Although LeBron wasn't very far behind, continuing to average the great numbers you expect out of him and digging deep to keep his team competitive, and he also had some solid help. Kyrie was a full-blown star himself and was cooking Westbrook all series, whether it be off of isolation opportunities or running a near unstoppable pick and roll with LeBron. Cleveland had a phenomenal duo, but KD had some help too. Russ was on an MVP caliber of skill at this time, and his athleticism was a nightmare for Kyrie to attempt to slow down, evening out the point guard matchup here. And with both stars on each side so neck to neck, it was no surprise the series was just as close, pushing to a final Game 7. And in climactic fashion, one of the closest final series in recent memory would also have a close finish in the final game, with the winner possibly going either way. We have a close one between one of the most exciting matchups you could possibly imagine. Kevin Durant and LeBron James going head to head, all tied up, 3 minutes left, Game 7 of the NBA Finals. LeBron driving in on Ibaka, great defense on the board. On the other end now, Russell Westbrook has it. He's got the athleticism advantage over Kyrie. Crossover, he gets some space. Kyrie gets back though. Russ still attacking. Ibaka now, his little leg. That's off Russ, the offensive board though. The putback, LeBron's there for the defense and the rebound. Sloppy finish here so far in Game 7, and everyone's exhausted, everyone's nervous. LeBron with Russ guarding him. The screen from Channing Frye. LeBron, pull up, it's off. It has been a scoreless past minute or so now. Russell Westbrook trying to get on the board, get his team to lead. Russ driving it in. The Euro, Foy, open for 3! Cleveland took a timeout. It has been super sloppy here. They are facing a 3-point deficit now. 2 minutes, 3 seconds remaining in this game. They get it inbounded to Kevin Love in the corner versus Serge. Thompson gets over to LeBron. LeBron, Kevin around him now. LeBron driving in. LeBron, his floater is good over KD. This is still anybody's championship to win. The Thunder are up by 1, but they do have the ball. Rush driving right past Kyrie. Gets to the lane in the lay. That is a really tough matchup there for Kyrie Irving trying to defend Russ. Russ on the other end. Does Kyrie want to get his revenge? The screen for Tristan Thompson. Kyrie gets it down low to LeBron. Kevin Durant guarding him. LeBron too strong. Shoves him. LeBron's late. He misses it. KD the board. They're pushing on the break. Kevin Durant gets to the Waiters. Waiters. Amon Shumpert on him. They're slowing it down. Ibaka down low. If you score here, this is huge. Serge Ibaka tries to force on Kevin Love. He gets the rebound. No, the putback. That's up as well. Kevin Love the board. I definitely feel like Serge should have reset there. LeBron James with Kevin Durant on him now. Down by 3 again, a minute remaining. Tristan Thompson the screen. LeBron driving by Kevin Durant, pulls it back. Kevin Durant there. LeBron, the fadeaway at the post. It's off. Thompson the board. This putback keeps him alive. This is a huge possession down the stretch. 1-point game now, 50 seconds remaining. Dion Waiters with it. They're going to go to Russ. Russ in the paint versus Kyrie. They're bringing the double. Russ's fade. It bounces off. Kevin Love the board. Amon Shumpert going all the way. LeBron in the corner. He didn't want it. LeBron was open. LeBron didn't want the 3. Driving in the spin, the lay. It rims out. Steven Adams the board. Steven Adams literally airballed the first free throw. The second one is good though. 2-point game. If you are the Thunder, all you have to do is not allow a 3. You have one of the most clutch players in the sport in Kevin Durant in your team. Just do not allow a 3. Steven Adams comes up big with the steal. What a play for Steven Adams. On the line again. He hits this one. One more could seal the deal. Adams, his second free throw. It's off. It's off. LeBron the board. They're not going to use the timeout. They're just playing basketball. LeBron James, Kevin Durant on him. LeBron driving to by him. He's going for the quick 2. LeBron is selling. LeBron another turnover. I have never seen a player in one of these sims crumble like this. Cleveland uses their last timeout. LeBron can't believe it. This is probably the Cavaliers' last hope. You need a quick 3 and maybe an inbound steal. LeBron is ice cold. You got to go to Kai in the corner over Russ. Bang! Now they have to play the inbound game / the foul game. I would give it to Russ if you can. Let Russ get it. Dion Waiters. Waiters first free throw. Game 7 of the finals. It bounces in. Dion Waiters, the biggest throw of his career. It's off. It's off. The Cavs, the board of Amon Shumpert. Kyrie Irving with it. 5 seconds remaining. Kyrie, Russ on him. Kevin Love from Wisconsin. What are you doing? Wow. Now, after that collapse from Cleveland in the final seconds, this could spell the end of the Cavs' run. Because in 2017, while they'd avoid the Kevin Durant and Curry super team Warriors, instead they'd face off against the Kawhi-led San Antonio Spurs. With Leonard healthy in this series and tons of talent around him, supported by one of the greatest coaches of all time, they were simply outgunning the Cavaliers, killing James' hope of bringing another ring to his city, and it was only getting worse, with Kyrie headed to Boston the following year. By the time the Cavaliers got to the finals, they were a depleted mess and stood no chance to the James Harden-led Rockets, who actually happened to also have Chris Paul on the team, which we've been seeing a lot of in these alternate realities. Houston was now winning a championship with Harden, giving himself and Chris Paul each rings just by simply moving Curry out east. And speaking of Curry, it's just about time that we start talking about their duo. Because while they'd still lose to the Raptors in 2019 like they did in real life, from there on out, this league was theirs. When you take the greatest shooting ever and pair that with possibly the biggest inside threat of all time, you got an absolutely unstoppable duo. And when you surround them with serviceable role players from 1 to 5, and you get a team that shines above all the rest, resulting in the Bucks winning 5 straight rings from 2020 to 2025 without any exciting storylines, as we conclude Curry being traded to the Bucks, witnessing a major change in NBA history across a number of different teams and legends. And while we did skim by the Curry and Giannis duo due to them winning repetitively, if you want to dive deeper into that duo, you can check out this video next, where I simmed out Giannis and Curry spending their entire careers together as teammates.